What is up, Football Scout 365 subscribers, ghost watchers? Hey, if you're ghost watching this episode, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit us up with some comments, all that good stuff. We love all that. We have a ton of interaction going on, especially with the fantasy football content that we have. But today, got another episode of After Further Review here on deck. We're going to talk another quarterback, Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington. He is a 2024 NFL draft prospect, and he just continues to shine. And he showed once again why he is being considered a top 2024 NFL draft prospect at the quarterback position, and a player that is firmly in the running, in that battle for that number 3 spot in the draft order of the quarterback rankings, just behind Caleb Williams and Drake May. And as far as the overall scope through 3 weeks of college football, Michael Penix, he's leading the nation in passing yards with 1,352. He's got 12 touchdown passes. He's thrown 1 interception. In addition to that, he's 4th in yards per pass attempt with 12 yards per attempt. He's tied for 2nd in the nation with Caleb Williams with 12 total touchdown passes. Sam Hartman from Notre Dame, he's actually leading the way through 4 games, not 3. So Hartman, he's got that extra game out there. He's thrown 13 touchdown passes, leading the way. So technically, by the law of averages, you would have Caleb Williams and you have Michael Penix Jr. ahead of Sam Hartman in touchdowns per game. So let's discuss Michael Penix's performance, though, this past week versus Michigan State on the road in East Lansing. Yes, the Michigan State Spartans, they are bad. They are a severely overmatched team. Their coach, he's suspended currently. He's about to be fired, according to reports. I can't say wholeheartedly that will fully go through, but I can say that reports out there are saying that he will more than likely be fired in October. At least that's what the university themselves, that's what they're saying. But anyway, long story short, there was going to be one of 2 routes in this particular matchup. It was either Michigan State, they were going to rally, they would play inspired, just because of the adversity that they're facing, or they were just going to roll over, and let the adversity take over and drive them down the proverbial toilet, so to speak. And that's exactly what happened. They were flushed pretty quickly in this game. And Michael Penix Jr. not really challenged a whole lot in this game. So not a ton of takeaways in this particular matchup where I can say, oh yeah, definitively Michael Penix Jr., he's the 3rd best quarterback in college football. But in terms of his performance in this game, he completed 27 of 35 pass attempts, 473 yards, 4 touchdowns, pretty ho-hum day for him. When you look at the other 2 games that he's already played this year, he threw 0 interceptions, took care of the football, the most important thing, obviously. And according to Pro Football Focus, he didn't put the ball in harm's way a single time in this particular matchup. So in terms of the pressured throws versus a clean pocket, and this is just another Pro Football Focus stat that I'm going to throw out there. Penix, he was elite versus Michigan State. He was 7 for 11 for 164 yards when Michigan State was able to actually apply any kind of pressure on him. Another crazy stat is when Michigan State was able to bring an extra defender on a blitz in this particular matchup. Penix, he went 7 for 7. He just diced him up. He averaged 23 yards per attempt versus the blitz. That's completely insane. As far as from a clean pocket and from that perspective, he still averaged 14 yards per attempt, completed 83% of his throws from a clean pocket. He threw for 335 yards from a clean pocket on 24 pass attempts in this matchup. So this is a dude, he's just absolutely poised. In command of the offense, especially when you look at the data and then you connect it to the film, you can just see it. He's in complete control and in command of this offense through 3 weeks of the college football season. So let's take a look at play action pass and without play action pass. So with play action in this particular matchup, Penix, he completed 90% of his throws, averaged 23 yards per pass attempt off of play action. 2 of his touchdowns come off play action in this game. And then without play action, He went 18 of 25, so 72%, and he averaged 11 yards per pass attempt, and his other 2 touchdowns occurred with 0 play action involved. So with or without play action, pick your poison. Another aspect, though, that I love to examine and what I love to compare to the film is a player's throws versus different coverage looks. Versus man coverage so far on the year, Michael Penix, he completes 70% of his throws versus man coverage. He's got a 6-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Against man-to-man on the year, when a team is able to actually get pressure on him, he's completing only 50% of his throws. Now, this is a number that we need to keep an eye on as the competition does ramp up. So something we're going to look at or look back on after this review, the notes and everything from the games that we've already looked at. Once the competition ramps up, that's something we're going to come back to, especially as we get closer to the 2024 NFL draft. Now, when he's facing a zone coverage, he is completing 72% of his throws. And against Michigan State on Saturday, he faced zone coverage 25 times, and he completed 76% of his throws with 3 touchdown passes against zone. And when he faced man-to-man looks, which only occurred 6 times, he completely obliterated Michigan State's defense. He completed 83% of his throws with 141 of his yards coming off of man-to-man coverage looks. There's a million ways that we can dissect the quarterback position. I like to look at on-platform versus off-platform throws. And as far as this game is concerned, Michael Penix, he completed 92% of his passes for 435 of his total yards, with a solid base underneath him, standing in, being able to follow through and drive throws down the field, with all 4 of his touchdowns coming via on-platform throws. Now, off-platform throws versus Michigan State, when the defense was able to move him off his spot, he only completed 44% for 38 yards. This deserves attention because when competition does ramp up, teams are going to work to move him off his spot, get him out of the pocket, get him off platform, chase him around, see what he can do on the move. That's a huge advantage for a defense that's able to get pressure on the quarterback. Off-platform throws, though, on the season. Let's take a look at that. Through 3 games, when teams are able to move him off his spot, they're not allowing him to step into those throws. He's only completing 50%. By comparison, so if we want to compare him to Caleb Williams, for example, a player deemed to be comparable to Patrick Mahomes in terms of skill set, because dude can make any throw from any platform. He completes 80% of his throws. He has nearly 300 yards, 6 touchdowns to 0 interceptions this season when he's throwing off platform, whether it's from the pocket, on the move, off his back foot, whatever the case may be. When he's unable to set his feet, he's still just as deadly as a quarterback. Either way. So that's the big disparity between a guy like Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr., for example. So overall, Michael Penix, he's a poised player from the pocket. The dude's a leader of his team. The guy has continuously improved. He's worked hard since his time at Indiana in the Big Ten. And now at Washington, he's got great receiver options and a good offensive line. And we're seeing the type of player that he can actually be. So Penix, as we just mentioned, not considered the best athlete, so to speak. He's not a dude running around making plays with his legs, but he does have enough athleticism to move away from pressure and extend plays as needed. But he's not going to win you games in that way. He is more of a pocket passer, and that's more than okay, especially when you get into the NFL. There's plenty of coaches in there that want to box you into the pocket and play that way. Michael Penix Jr., he can be that guy. So there are some additional concerns, though, in regards to his throwing motion. He's got that sidearm motion that can take a little longer than you want to get the ball out. So that's something certainly to keep an eye on. That's something that you're not going to fix. Whatever NFL team decides to draft this guy, if you're counting on him to be your franchise quarterback, don't count on being able to reconstruct that throwing motion. You're going to have to live with that. So if I were to compare Michael Penix to a current NFL player, in my opinion, he's very comparable to Tua Tagovailoa, a player that if you can provide him good protection, good receivers or great receivers in Tua's case, he can be an elite player. The Dolphins, for example, they built their offense around Tua. They hired the right coach, And here we are now. We're seeing the fruits of that and what that looks like with Tua in the NFL. I believe Michael Penix Jr., he can be that type of player in the NFL. He doesn't possess the same level of anticipatory accuracy, at least so far on film, but that's something that can be developed. You can't fix the arm angle, but you could work on the anticipatory throwing once he's at the NFL level. So let me know what you think about that comparison, or if you have any other comparisons that you've heard aside from this video, maybe from another analyst out there, or maybe you have a bold take or an opinion, leave it in the comments, please. In terms of his NFL draft position, I mean, I really feel like he's a late first round, early second round type of talent at this point. There's a lot of dudes looking to move into that number 3 QB spot. And I feel like we could see 4 or 5 guys go in the first round, maybe even 6, possibly in the 2024 NFL draft, the way things are kind of looking and shaking out with NFL teams that, you know, they need a franchise quarterback, and they're going to look to take that risk on some of these guys, maybe in the late first round, early second round. So that's going to do it for today's episode. So far, we've already examined Shedeur Sanders, Sam Hartman, JJ McCarthy, Quinn Ewers, and now we've got Michael Penix. Next week feels like the perfect week to go through and evaluate the entire scene of the quarterback position with a lot of big games on this weekend's slate. I should be able to re-rank these guys by next week on our big board, so check that out over at Football Scout 365 when you get a chance. I do want to say thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, let people know that we exist. Also, go check out the fantasy football content. We have a lot of new fantasy football advice. We try to focus in on league-winning waiver wire pickups each week, trade options to help you win your fantasy football league. So go check that out again. And thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more great content.